Welcome to another episode of Ecom Experiences, a podcast for e-commerce marketing leaders who want to grow and scale their brands faster. Join us as we interview some of the smartest brand founders and marketing leaders in the industry. Explore the lessons they learned, discover the keys to their success, and discuss what excites them most about the future.
Hi, it's Samir Balwani here, host of Ecom Experiences, where we talk to brand founders and marketing leaders about their experiences growing brands. This episode is brought to you by Query. Query is a paid media agency that helps brands balance brand awareness and performance marketing to drive predictable and profitable growth. To learn more about how we can help you, visit weareqry.com. I have a really great guest here today. Kevin Shields, the paid acquisition lead at Atlas Coffee Club. You are a wealth of knowledge, and I'm so excited to dig deep into things. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Super happy to be on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So why don't we get started? Tell me more about the brand. Let's kind of give some background and we'll go from there.
For sure. Yeah. So Atlas Coffee Club, we are a coffee subscription service that delivers amazing coffee from all around the world. So fresh to your door. Our thing is we source specialty Arabica coffee from the top farms in the world. So, for example, this month is Burundi. Last month was Colombia, India, Brazil. What most coffee drinkers don't realize is that over 50 countries actually produce coffee. Yet when you go to the grocery store, you see the same 3 to 4 countries on the shelf in different types of blends and things like that. So our goal is really to bring our customers on a world tour of coffee, highlighting some of the lesser known regions of the world. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, we source the coffee from different countries, then we import it back to Austin, Texas, where we're based, roast it fresh after you order, and then we ship it to you.
That's so interesting. And I imagine that there is a huge education element around this as well, because there's so much to learn. So can you just touch on what you guys do from an education standpoint?
Yeah, actually funny you say that. So it's when people are in a habit, especially like an addictive habit, like drinking coffee every single morning, they tend to get in their ways. So it's, what we found in our marketing that works really well is educating the customer on why they should be essentially drinking coffee that's essentially like double the price of, like a potential Folgers or something like that. So what we find is educating the consumer about why freshness matters, why coffee quality matters, the different tastes, different tasting notes and different ways different coffees are produced in different parts of the world. For example, like some of the drier countries, like in Africa, they produce more like natural coffees. Basically, like they let the sun, like they use the sun to essentially bring the coffee cherry out of or the bean out of the cherry. Whereas in like some of the countries that do have more water, they use like a washed process. Yeah, so that, and each of these processing has different tastes. So there's like a whole world of this coffee, that we could dive into, but I'm sure you want to talk about marketing stuff. But
I love it.
Education, especially in the coffee realm, is it's key.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating because I think it adds a complexity to marketing because it's similar to wine, right? Everyone tastes different wines, tastes different things. What is good to one person may not be good to another. And then you also, wine, fragrance, they all kind of fall in. How do you communicate that to somebody? How do you get someone excited about something that they physically have to taste? So it's like an e-com real challenge of there's no samples. Like you can't
Exactly.
just like here's a sip, like try it. You're really in on it. I know we talked about your title of paid acquisition lead. So what does that mean? Like, what's your purview? What's your day look like?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm within Atlas. We have a growth team, and I'm on specifically the paid acquisition team. And I personally oversee the management of all our paid channels. So including paid social, paid search, native, a few other smaller channels, and the things that also bubble into those channels. For example, paid social, a lot of creative, paid search, specific landing pages. So Like a lot of your other guests, I do wear a lot of hats, like who doesn't in marketing, but on our specific performance team, like our paid acquisition team, we have myself who manages the media channels. We have a creative strategist who, works with both outside vendors and produces creative in-house. Works with designers, video editors, etc. And then we have another team member who like really flexes as like kind of a head of growth, a data analyst, and really manages like our digital product, like the site side of things.
Yeah.
And we're small, we're scrappy, but like on a day to day, I could be, running the ads manager, checking in, praying that some ads hit overnight and we're scaling up, increasing budgets, etc. But running split tests, creating landing pages, coming up with different creative angles, playing with data, kind of do it all from a day-to-day perspective.
That's amazing because that's a huge breadth of things that you are covering off on a day-to-day basis. So, what's your favorite part? What gets you excited?
Yeah, well, meta has been my favorite part, but recently not as
Recently,
much. Yeah, recently not as much, just because of all the, we've been seeing some weakness, like a lot of other brands, I think, that are going on. But I think, if I'm gonna say like what gets me fired up, what gets me excited, would be, just growth in general. And I think we look through this in like a few different lenses, and just to like kind of to backtrack on Atlas. Like during COVID, we were able to maintain like really solid year over year growth. Like when COVID hit, people were looking for fresh coffee, like good fresh coffee, but they couldn't go out to the store and get it. So during the years of COVID, we like doubled the business and then doubled it again. I wasn't on at that point, but I came on like right after COVID. And in the past 2 to 3 years, like even post COVID, we've been able to hold a very steady growth rate year over year. As our team has both expanded and like our product offering has expanded. But if I'm going to talk about like what gets me really excited, like we look is growth in general. And we kind of look at like growth in different buckets. It's like channels, products, markets, and then like site tests. So happy to dive into one or all of those, if you want, but like that, the growth side of things and like playing with those different levers is like what gets me really pumped up.
Yeah, I think it's so you guys have such a robust growth team that you have a lot of levers that you can pull, and it's really interesting. So I guess we talked about the softness of Meta and the impact it has, plus just the general problems that people are generally having with Meta across the board. If you're in the ads manager, you know exactly what I'm talking about because I hear it from the teams, I hear it from our clients of just it doing random things or breaking at random times. So it's definitely a challenge. I'm really actually curious, like where does most of your day go? Like of those levers, which one takes up most of your time or brain power, just truthfully?
Yeah. I think in my role, it's more the channels side of things, like channels and tests. We do have a products team that like works on the actual coffee product, and then also the digital product, like our website. And I do some, I'm in that realm some, but more so the channels and the like tests are my realm. So on the channels front, like for example, as of recently, it's been working on a strategy to fix like we've been experiencing some weakness across Meta the past month, and it's like it's very, I would say, like both on a macro and micro level, we're focusing on like a number of things to try and improve this. So recently for me, it's been looking at a lot of like our creative mix, our account structure, how we're thinking about attribution, with like more of our top of funnel, middle funnel channels like Meta. And then on the another channel front, like one of the big bets that we're taking this quarter is growing like our programmatic program, like our native ads. So we're expanding into like Rev Content, Taboola, Outbrain,
Nice.
testing that out. And this is like a whole new realm for me. Like I get it from like a very high level, but like I'm in the ads manager, like with my knuckles bloody, like, learning as I'm
Yeah.
going on this. So like a whole different ball game than Meta. And it's just like, it's launching tests, getting the data back, diagnosing, figuring out where the opportunities are, coming up with new hypothesis, launch again, get the data back, assessing the data. And it's
Yeah.
just this cycle of like launch, data, analyze, and then like it continues. So I think recently, Meta and like native advertising have been like
Yeah.
my big buckets and big responsibilities.
I'm really curious, what have you seen work well on the native side? Well, and it's interesting because you have a unique opportunity in that education around coffee is something that, so native seems like a natural place for you guys to play. I'm curious, what has worked? What made you bloodied? And, kind of what are you excited about for that channel?
Yeah, I think if a native expert hears me like talking about this, it's I will say this is like, we're a month into native, so it's like I am learning a good amount here, but
Yeah.
I think one of the big things is like comes down to three things is like getting creative that has very high click-through rate. Mainly all native placements typically lead to like an advertorial or some type of pre-sale article, that I've seen. And I think, mastering the advertorial, getting high click-through to your actual site is critical. And then like on the site is like making sure that the landing page converts at a level that makes sense for your total CAC costs and making sure that the
Mm.
math backs out through the entire funnel. So it's not rocket science, but like high click-through rate on the ad, high click-through rate from the advertorial to the site, and then conversion rate high on the site.
Yeah.
Nothing novel, but like, it's looking at the data and finding where the weakness is and coming up with a plan to address how you improve.
That's really interesting. Um, that's so cool. I mean, I know, we talked about Meta a few times, that being an obstacle, which has kind of led you into making a big bet into native. What other obstacles are you seeing? What else kind of is um, in the challenge as you look ahead?
Um, I think, there is this channel, like Meta as a channel is challenging. But like on a business wide level, it's um obviously we want to like maintain the growth that we've had the past
Yeah.
2 to 3 years and exceed that while also staying profitable. Um, and one of the things that one of the big bets that we're thinking about is like introducing new products into our product
Mm.
mix. So typically Atlas has been like, we've offered whole bean coffee or ground
Yeah.
coffee, like whatever you prefer. And then over the past 2 years, we've introduced two new products. So we introduced like a Keurig, like coffee pods that are
Sorry.
compatible for Keurigs, or coffee pods that are compatible for Nespresso machines.
Okay.
And with those introduction of like products, we've seen growth. Like we've seen stepping stones of growth
Right.
because it's like new markets. Like typically whole bean ground coffee lovers are usually younger folks, and then like a K-cup drinker is like typically 50 plus.
Mm.
So one of the big bets slash challenges is like continuing that growth. And it's like coming up with new products where we think that there's potential within the market to reach net new customers.
Interesting. I think that's such a key piece that a lot of marketers forget is that product has a big driver in terms of growth.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like we get so focused on what's ahead of us, we forget, like, is it in stock? Do we have any new products coming up? Like, what is the new product? Did that product resonate or not resonate? But then also, how do you actually take what you're learning from being in market and that data and helping inform the product team to on that next set of products and what's coming next. And I think that that's a piece that a lot of people miss in the marketing journey.
100%. Yeah. And a lot of times it's easy to get caught up in the weeds, but it's like, a product can unlock 30% growth for the entire company. So yeah, huge lever to think about.
Yeah. Earlier on, we talked about creative for a little bit, and you said it a few times around creative being a big piece of what makes it successful on Meta and what makes it successful on native. How do you guys look at your creative? How do you actually determine if something is successful? And then more importantly, how do you use that to improve the next round of creative?
Yeah, it's like the hot topic. One of the things that we do that we found really helpful is like every quarter we'll do a creative brainstorm. We're essentially our creative strategists. Or like back when I was doing creative strategy, it was like we would come to the team with like, our top 5 to 6 like angles or, creative ideas that we wanted to explore, like fleshed out. And we'd essentially be like pitching each other these creative ideas, and you get feedback from everybody. And then basically we would do these sprints around those angles. So for each angle, we would have maybe, we would do different creative formats, whether it's like UGC, videos, like static ads. We would do a sprint like to produce a bunch of creative assets, launch them, get the data back. And then basically like, if one of those is taking off, we would essentially just like lean into iterating our way to scale, or to like, a CPA that like made sense to continue running. And with the other stuff, we would, call it loss and cut it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And then when you're looking at creative, how does brand play into the mix? I guess how do you guys think about that, and what does good branding look like? Like, how are you? Because it is such a performance driven perspective around creative. What, if any, does brand play?
Yeah, I'm incredibly biased towards more of the performance side. Where some people on our team are like more brand side. And I always feel like there's this sometimes like this friction between the two. I do think it's incredibly important. And I think that like, the creative, like it might not align well, with certain audiences, but like, in my opinion, if you're trying to like, I'll put it this way. If like I'm under the assumption or of the camp of like, if it's a V1 test and you are testing like a wildly new concept, I'm less concerned about like having the brand exactly on point. It's like we're testing a completely new marketing message to a completely new audience. Like, let's try some very, very different things that might be off brand. But like, once you find one that starts to work, then like, and you can kind of drill deeper down into the brand. I think that's where like there's a lot of room for like more of like a vertical scale within the angle or something.
I love it. In full transparency, I'm a brand guy. It was a loaded question. I knew exactly where this was going. So I think that's fine. It's interesting because I think, especially over the last few months, and this, I'd say over almost the last 6 to 12 months, we've been seeing this transition on Meta moving more top of funnel, where because it has always played up there, but as privacy comes in and its algorithm changes start to shift out, it's definitely playing a different role in our media mix. And from my perspective, brand starts to become more and more important the higher the funnel you go, right? I'm less concerned about brand messaging and impact on your conversion campaigns and more on like the top funnel. So the reason why I asked that question, and I guess I'll dig a little bit deeper up, when you're looking at your top of funnel metrics, what are the metrics you're looking for? Are you still looking for purchases driven over an attribution window, or are you looking at engagement metrics? And then are you looking at brand metrics or doing brand health tracking or anything kind of in the mix around that as well?
Yeah, I think that is, one of our, I would say probably like one of our gaps that we're not as like keen on, is like measuring more so like the brand metric side of things. Like I said, like we're a very lean performance team.
Yeah.
We do, I think we look at our like across our X number of channels we're on, we look at like on the attribution side of things, like we weight channels differently depending on, things like post-purchase survey, compared to like our Google Analytics data. But I would say, I don't really have a way that we're like tracking brand metrics.
Yeah, I think it's one of the hardest parts. I'm always curious when people have a perspective on it, because I agree. I think it's one of the most unique ways of we've gotten so used to tying performance to a creative and saying, okay, this creative message, this is what it did. And it's really hard when you then have to say, okay, this group of messaging did this versus this group of message did this, and kind of tying that together. Kevin, I'm really curious. So as you look ahead, what are you most excited about, though? What are you looking forward to?
I think by like the end of the year, next quarter, we're launching like a really exciting new product. Fortunately, I can't like disclose it on the call, but like it is, it's going to be incredible once it comes out. If you're a coffee drinker that you like, to stay sharp, stay focused, like you're going to love the new product. I just can't give any more away than that.
We're going to have to, if you've got a wait list or something, we're going to add that to the show notes. So I'm sure a lot of people that listen to this drink coffee, and then they can sign up for the wait list and find out when it launches. That's awesome. And then, so my one last question for you. So as a marketing leader, when you're talking to a new marketing leader, what advice do you give them? What do you tell them to do in their first 90 days?
I think the one thing that I found personally works really well for me, like through my career. So, is to learn by doing. Like, you can study something all day, especially like but like getting in the weeds and like actually taking the action on something. Like I said before, until you start pounding the keyboard and like your knuckles are bloody, you're not going to learn. So, I've had catapults in my career when I've like put in the effort to learn the new skill, whether, it was originally running Facebook ads, Google ads, like CRO, creative strategy. It's like, I learn it by doing it. And I say, like, if you're trying to level up your career, like continue to learn that skill by doing it. And then the other thing is like, don't be afraid to test radically different concepts. Like if you want different results, you have to, and like by an order of magnitude of like 5x, you have to take wildly different swings. So I think that's actually a really important takeaway. I hope people really take that away, because I think the most frustrating thing is when people are like, oh, we tested button colors. Like, no, that's such a waste of time. Like, you're not going to do anything. Like, test your offer, change your messaging, like do something that actually matters, especially in the growth stage, right? Like, you don't have enough volume to really have a clear read on this font size versus this font size. It just, that doesn't matter. Testing doesn't matter. I feel like there's definitely room in every marketer's playbook to like hack away at things, and whether it is test a new button color or whatever. Like, you might get like a 2, 5, maybe even like 10% lift on like your control, but like if you're looking for huge changes in conversion rate or huge changes in whatever the metric is that you're monitoring, you have to take huge swings.
And sustainable swings, right? Like that button color impact may only impact that one creative for that. So you get that 10% lift for like 4 weeks, and then you're back to the drawing board, right?
Exactly.
So it's that's awesome. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. This was so much fun. If someone wants to find you online, where can people learn more about you?
You can go to atlascoffeeclub.com, or you can send me an email. Or go to my personal website, kevinshields.co. And
that's awesome.
That's it.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much for joining us again.
All right. Thanks, Samir. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. If you liked it, remember to subscribe so you'll be notified of new episodes. And if you know someone who would enjoy this show, don't forget to share and leave a review. It all helps us impact more brands. If you're looking to improve your paid media, go to weareqry.com and schedule a consultation. We're always happy to chat. See you for the next one.